to our next guest. Robert, would you like to take it away? Hello, Arlene Sierra. How are you?
Hi. Hi. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
So Arlene is going to be our composer in association next season. She's supposed to do it this season, but something happened. But she has been commissioned to write a piece called Bird Symphony for us, so hence all of the seagull questions that we have. Um, and we have a couple questions for you, but one thing I was wondering was, since we were supposed to premiere this work, I think it was supposed to be a month from now, technically. What, if anything, has changed about this piece since you've had, some time to think about it, especially like in relationship to the current world?
Yeah, so I started my new piece, Bird Symphony, probably a month before COVID hit the West, and and you know, sketching out a new piece and listening to the news, and the sense that this tidal wave was approaching because I'm living in London, and when we started to get news of COVID hitting Italy, we really knew in the UK that we were next. So I had to think about wrapping up my teaching at the university and getting my son home from school. He's 8 years old. So, a lot of complicated things to think about in the midst of, getting a new piece underway. Um, and I had decided already to do something based on birds and on bird song. I had a few pieces, piano pieces, and a few other kind of different things that are based on bird song in different ways. So I was looking forward to the chance to expand on those ideas in the orchestra. Um, and then suddenly life in lockdown, it was really such a, as for all of us, of course, but artistically and compositionally, such a strange situation. And in some ways, kind of a gift, because composers are homebodies, we need to stay home, and that's how we get our work done. And, it seemed like that would be great. But on the other hand, um, with my son's schooling and just, running one's house like a ship and sort of keeping everything under lockdown, that sort of made it all complicated. But I still managed to keep composing, and it really got me through, just to have that goal of, at least a couple of hours every day composing, no matter what else was going on, and no matter what the news told us about what was happening. That escape of creating was so important, and such, I realized what a gift it is to be an artist, because you can really, have your own world to concentrate on. So it shaped the piece, I think, because I had already planned out 4 movements for a symphony, which was surprisingly traditional for me. My first symphonic piece was 3 movements, quite willfully. I'm not doing 4 movements, but with this piece, I wanted to really tackle that. And I realized that I needed one movement to be about caged birds, because in a way we all became caged birds. So, and also some of the music uses a recording of bird song. So it's a sense of capturing something fleeting in time and locking it down, but also capturing it in time. So those ideas started to influence the piece. So I have a movement that's really based on the sound of caged birds, along with a recording of a wild bird. And in terms of other things about the piece, it was also kind of a love letter to Utah in a funny way, because I haven't actually been to Utah yet. The closest I got was Yellowstone when I was 8 years old. It's funny because I have an 8-year-old at home now, so I'm sort of connecting that with visiting that region of the country, and I've flown over many times. I've just never gotten to Utah before, so I had this calendar of landscapes of Utah for 2020. So I kept looking at that. Actually, I have a few pictures around. And that kind of worked its way into the piece in terms of concentrating on bird songs heard in Utah that I've not heard in person before, so that's kind of fun. And also thinking about the ancestors of birds, so thinking about various dinosaurs that have been found in Utah. So I actually have a movement which I wasn't sure how honest I'd be about the title, but I think I'm going to stick with the movement title, which is Utah Raptor, which is an actual very bird-like dinosaur that was found in Utah.
It's the
So
official state dinosaur, actually. So
yes, it
yeah,
would have to be right with that name. So I spend a lot of time with this piece thinking about being frozen in space and in time. You know, because we all feel that 2020 was a year that kind of didn't happen, or happened in a way none of us could have anticipated. And thinking about being caged like some birds are, and also about the sweep of time, which of course Utah and its history really gives you a sense of, even if you haven't been there yet. So all of that is sort of played into the piece, but it's not completely done. I should tell Thierry. I still have several weeks left of planning out the percussion and fixing the harp pedalings and stuff like that. So it'll be a little while yet, but with the extra time, having a delayed premiere is a gift to a composer as well, because there are always details we have to fix.
So can I mention, Arlene, I think you've revealed that we shouldn't have had a mascot of a seagull. We have a Utah Raptor mascot from now on, thanks to you. So this is brilliant. I'm much happier. I wasn't around for the seagull, so I don't miss it. Can I ask you something about Nature Symphony that we're doing the week before Bird Symphony, when you're here 2 weeks in a row in April of 22? I'm very intrigued that the middle movement, you were inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe's, artwork. Did you do that from afar, or did you go to Mexico and kind of hang out around her area in Santa Fe? I think she spent many years there.
Right. Again, love from afar. I most just really through art, going to the Museum of Modern Art in New York as a kid, and going to the Tate now that I live in London. Those paintings are there, and her work has always been an inspiration to me. And a close family friend of mine, Malcolm Barron, is the main photographer of Georgia O'Keeffe's work. So I've always seen beautiful photos of her work, and I think his book has just come out a few months ago. Plus, my mother's a painter, so the whole experience of a painter and of a woman painter, and my mom paints in the Hudson River Valley, so she's very much affected by landscape. So all of that resonated in so many different layers for me.
And I guess just to wrap up, the fact that the last movement is called Bee Rebellion, and Utah is the beehive state. So I think just subconsciously you've been involved with us before we even had a chance to invite you. So thank you.
There's a spiritual connection.
And please pronounce the piece we're doing of yours in November. I always have trouble with it. Please pronounce it for us.
Oh, there are lots of options. I think it's kind of solidified into Aquilo, if that's the one. So you could say it like Spanish, Aquilo as well. It's up to you. It's a Latin name, so you can go either way. But it's the name for the northwest wind. That's where that title came from.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Arlene. We can't wait to see you in November and twice in April.
Yes, I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.